Alright, hello everyone. Darkside Phil here, and welcome ladies and gentlemen to the weekend preview, the final weekend preview for March, and of course, the first one for April 2015. Today is March 29th, and it is Sunday night. What a week we've had. Busy week. I expected it to be a busy week. Unfortunately, as you know, when there is so much going on during a particular week, it's very hard to do as much as you want to do. Let's put it that way. And this past week, with the release of Bloodborne, of course, I would have loved that to be my focus all week, but we had so much else going on with Ask the King, with my visit to East Coast, Emerald City Comic Convention, and Minecraft and other stuff going on. I wasn't able to primarily focus on just Bloodborne all week. In this week in preview, I'm going to explain to you how this week is going to work. There is going to be by far, more of a focus this week on Bloodborne than there was last week. So for those of you who are watching the playthrough and enjoying it, of those of which there are many of you, by the way, so thank you very much for anyone who is actively watching and following along with that playthrough. I'm just excited as you are. I think the game is great, okay? But not only is this week going to have Bloodborne, it's going to have a very special marathon event based off of the Patreon goals that we hit at the end of February, as well as the continuation of a Patreon series. And I'm going to explain to you how a new series based off of February's Patreon goals is going to start all across the month of April. And of course, in addition to all of that, this week is the end of the March pledges for Patreon, okay? So that's a lot of information. Let's talk about the March pledges so you understand how it works. Then I'll talk about the schedule this week and how I'm fitting in this stuff from February's Patreon along with Bloodborne, okay? Fair enough? Okay. All right, so first of all, thanks to everyone, as you can see, the top of the screen, they're scrolling, who donated to my Patreon in the month of February. After this week, this will refresh. So those of you who are still Patreon donors and pledged again for March, your name will continuously show up here. For those who didn't, it's going to disappear. And for newcomers, welcome. Your name will be up there starting next week, okay? So, we have 2 days left, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, not really. We have basically Monday, Tuesday. By the end of Tuesday, that's it. That's the cutoff for my March Patreon goals, all right? And right now we have 120 people who have pledged towards my Patreon for the month of March, which is way more than we had in the month of February. But unfortunately, as I said, because I knew this was going to happen, people who pledged big amounts in the month of February now lowered those amounts because they don't want to do that every month. Who's going to do $30 every single month when they've already gotten their Project 7 t-shirt perk, right? So I fully understood that that was going to happen. I want to say thank you. Every day I am mentioning it, and every day I'm getting new pledges to my Patreon. So it's working, and I thank you guys who are actively joining. The cool thing is that in the long run, right, month after month, once we get a whole bunch of people giving a little bit, this is going to be awesome, and we're going to be hitting goals every month. It looks like for the month of March, unfortunately, unless we get a last-minute push by some people, we're probably not going to make them all, being honest with you guys. The goals for this month were, number one, more Minecraft with $500 of funding, and it looks like we may do that. Number two, me starting up a DSP Classic series where I do the best of my best playthroughs of all time, starting with Heavy Rain. And I thought that would be a neat thing to have those old playthroughs be more modernized for everyone and appeal to a wider audience, right? And I don't know if we're going to hit that one. And the reason I say that is because right now, the Patreon is showing as over $1,000 funding, but there's still 5 or 6 people who have those big goals pledged, and I don't know if they're going to stay in them again or if they're going to reduce them last minute. Every day, more people have been reducing them, which is fine. That's what I expected, but it makes it completely uncertain for me to know what I'm actually going to get on my Patreon this month. So that's an $850 goal. I don't know if we're going to hit that. The goal at this point, like I said, unless we have a miracle or a lot of people jump in last minute to pledge, the goal of $1,250 for me to improve my audio setup, it looks like it's probably not going to happen. I really would like to buy a new mic instead of this Samson Meteor mic, which isn't very professional quality. It's just a basic USB microphone. I'd really like to put some soundproofing on my walls. As you can see, there's nothing here. You can hear echo. And I really, really would like to buy a professional sound mixer to just overall improve the quality of the audio and everything that I do. But I can't afford it. It's too expensive. People have been asking me to do it, and with all the money I sunk into the move and the business last year, I don't have the available funds. If we hit that goal this month, I was going to take around $500 of that and put it towards it. It doesn't look like we're going to reach that goal, unfortunately. Again, unless, barring a miracle, which could happen, we could have a last-minute rush, right, these last 2 days. And don't worry, I will be mentioning it the next 2 days to remind everyone who forgot. But chances are, more than likely, what's going to happen is even if people rush to pledge, we might have people who lower their amounts too. I don't know. I like to stay optimistic, but I don't want to be too optimistic and not realistic and promise you guys, yes, we're going to do it, and then we don't. You know what I mean? So let's see what happens. Maybe we will have a final push by the end of Tuesday, which is March 31st, the last time that you can pledge to my March Patreon. We'll see what happens with that, okay? So, based off of this, I'll let you guys know later in the week when people actually start getting charged for the month of March, what goals we did hit, what perks were hit. If you are a Patreon contributor, you're going to be getting emails from me explaining, or PMs or messages on the Patreon website explaining what you qualified for, and I'm going to need information from people, so please keep your eyes and ears open, all right? So now let's talk about this week and what we're integrating into this week's schedule based off of Patreon. Well, first of all, right now is the last time, there's 2 days left, for you, if you were a Patreon contributor in the month of February, to vote on what special playthrough I'm doing in the month of April based off of February. Right now, the ones in the lead are Persona, which is going to end up probably being Persona 4, which is on PSN emulated, okay? Conker's Live and Reloaded, which is apparently the remake, HD remake of Bad, or not really HD, but the better graphical remake of Bad Fur Day on Xbox Live. And I believe there were 1 or 2 other games that were closely behind those. Last time I checked, though, Persona was in the lead. If you did not vote yet, you have to. You must. Because, I mean, if you're a $5 contributor or more from Patreon in February and you didn't vote, like, it's kind of a wasted vote. You know what I mean? We want to hear what you want to see. And the fact that Persona 4 is winning with only 14 votes, I kid you not, only 14 votes, yet it's winning, is kind of ridiculous. I thought with the amount of people that we had as $5 contributors, of which there were like 40 or more, that we'd see some of those people voting, but apparently a lot of people just weren't interested in voting. We need you to vote right away, okay? Because this is going to be a playthrough I'm going to be playing at least 3 times, if not more, during the month of April. And that's going to be a playthrough. I'm thinking the best time to do it, maybe Mondays. And the reason I'm thinking that is because it's always the day before a new release. There usually is almost nothing ever going on Mondays. Monday's the day when I'm kind of almost finishing up stuff. And it might make sense for a stream on Monday to be that game, which is looking right now like it's going to be Persona 4, but we shall see, okay? So that's not going to affect us this week because the Patreon doesn't end until Tuesday. So we're not going to worry about that this week, okay? What we are going to worry about is my indie marathon, which you qualified for through the massive amount of funding I got in February on Patreon, and that's going to be March 31st, Tuesday, all right? So I'm going to explain how that works in a little bit, but again, I'm going to say if you were a patron in the month of February and you gave $5 or more, please vote on what indie games you want to see me play. Right now, some of the ones that are in the running and are really leading are Hotline Miami, The Binding of Isaac, oh God, now I can't remember them off the top of my head, but some good ones that, you know, everyone seems to have talked about, games that I missed. So those are going to be the kind of games that I'm going to be playing during this mini marathon this Tuesday. All right. So all that's the Patreon stuff for this week. And then, of course, if we do hit the goal of $500 that Minecraft will continue, this Saturday, Minecraft will continue, and it's going to be online co-op. But I'll explain that. Let's go through the schedule now, all right? Right now, I'm doing the weekend preview. Okay, that's going to be uploaded to the King of Hate vlogs. Immediately following this, I'm filming another vlog. It's going to be my initial thoughts on Bloodborne. What I feel about Bloodborne after playing it for about 5 sessions this week, in addition to grinding off camera. My overall thoughts about the game, some really cool things I discovered last night, and I really have a lot to say. I'm going to try to condense it, though, because this isn't a review. I've only scratched the surface, basically completed maybe 20% of the content of Bloodborne, so I've got a long way to go over the next week or two playing this game, and I don't want to jump the gun and give you a review before I finish it. It's only fair, right? So I am going to be doing that video tonight, and I am going to be putting in video footage. It's going to be an edited, highly edited video. I hope you guys are excited, and you'll check that out on the King of Hate vlogs tonight when it goes live. Tomorrow, Monday, we will have a major Bloodborne stream. Yes, it's going to be over 3-hour stream of Bloodborne on my first stream on Monday. I'm very excited. Yes, I've been grinding, but at the same time, the enemies actually are scaling in difficulty. I actually found out that the last time I played, I was in like an end game area that I didn't even realize, and I'm about to go up against one of the major bosses of the game that's actually an optional boss, but I found it. So this is going to be pretty cool to be checking this out next time. This is going to be the beginning of the stream, and then we're going to be moving on and progressing in the game, all right? My second stream on Monday is highly requested by viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, over the years that PlayStation Home has existed on the PlayStation 3, once a year, traditionally, I go in there for a couple hours, I mess around with it, and I see what features have been available, and over the years, that thing has evolved and changed many different times. This is it. This is it. PlayStation Home officially ends on Tuesday. And they're closing it down, they're getting rid of it, basically writing it off as kind of an interesting social experiment that really never went anywhere. They didn't really do anything with it. And I'm going to go in for the final time Monday night for a couple hours on stream. It's going to be my final hurrah on PlayStation Home, so I hope you'll join me for that. Tuesday is my Indie Games mini marathon. Now, what I mean by that, it's going to be an 8-hour mini marathon starting roughly between 11 a.m. and noon Pacific time, where I'm going to be for around 8 hours streaming all day nonstop. Now, there will be little breaks of like 5 to 10 minute breaks, but it's not going to be like I go on a dinner break for 2 hours. It's just going to be a constant stream flowing where I'm going to be checking out indie games that the patrons have been voting on my website, thekingofhate.com. So again, I almost guarantee you there will be Hotline Miami and The Binding of Isaac because those seem to be the top 2 games, but there's been a bunch of other games in the running, out of which I will be checking out, okay? Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, I've decided after thinking everything through that since I really haven't had a chance to sit down and play Bloodborne and focus on it. It seems like every time I play it for one stream, then we have to do this, the next day we have to do this, and I never get back to it. Wednesday, I want to do a Bloodborne marathon. I want to do it all day again, just like I did on launch day last week. I want to play Bloodborne all day on Wednesday and see if I can really get a nice tear into the game at this point. I mean, at this point, I've been grinding, but it also is increasing the difficulty of the enemies in the game, which could be really neat. And I think that that's going to be a cool, unique thing about my playthrough. You may not see in other people's playthrough who just ran through the game and beat it quick. In fact, a lot of people are saying, well, Let's Players already beat it. And I'm like, so what did they do? Skip half the content? Because from what I'm to understand, there's like a ton of optional bosses and a ton of optional stuff to get the real ending of the game. I want to try to go for that. I don't want to skip half the stuff in the game for the sake of skipping it. You remember in Dark Souls 2, I beat every single boss except one because I screwed up and killed the NPC that I needed to get into that secret dungeon and fight that boss. So I want to do everything, right? So that's how that playthrough is going to go, and it's going to be focused like that. And so Wednesday is going to be a marathon of Bloodborne, okay? Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be interesting because people have been asking me for a week now, when am I going to be playing Game of Thrones Episode 3? Because it came out last week, out of nowhere. Telltale Games gave no warning. It just said, oh, it's coming out tomorrow. And everyone's like, what? Can't you ever give release dates for your episodic games? And especially with Bloodborne that was out last week, a lot of people were like, that's great that it's out, but I'm playing Bloodborne, so I'll get to it when I get to it, right? So it's looking to me like what we're going to do is probably this Thursday, I'll split the day. Half will be Bloodborne, and half is going to be Game of Thrones Episode 2. Okay? Friday. What I'm seriously considering on Friday is only doing one stream, and here's why. I'm thinking maybe I'll do Bloodborne as my main stream on Friday, and then Friday night, I'm going to take time off, not from working, but just from streaming, because by then, the month will be over, right? The month of March actually ends on Tuesday, and I'm going to start working on the best and worst of March 2015 montage, which I want to do. I love doing these montage-style videos. I think that you guys have enjoyed them. I haven't done one in a month. After doing a ton of them in February, the overwhelming feedback I was getting from people was, Phil, you're doing too many. You're doing it for like 2 or 3 games a month plus the end of the month, and it's too many, and we're losing interest. So I said, fine, for the month of March, I'll stay away. Instead, I'll be doing video reviews with video footage from the games. I'll do my first impressions videos, which I did a bunch of. And now that we're reaching the end of March, come this Friday night, I'm going to work on that. Now, I can't promise you it's going to be ready. In fact, I'm almost going to go out on a limb and say it won't be ready this Friday night. But I'm going to do as much work as I can on it. Saturday, we will return to Minecraft if I hit that $500 goal, all right, on Patreon this week for March. And it's going to be the very first multiplayer stream. We have a server, the kingofhate.com server, that people have been messing around with and playing on, and I'm excited to see what we can do with it. So what I'll probably do is join that server with a bunch of people. We'll be running around checking out all the things that people have built and done in the past week, interacting with them, and we'll see exactly how it goes. And if we want to continue on like that the next week, or if we want to mix it up with mods, we'll have to see. But that's going to be this Saturday, okay? Now, Saturday, I don't do a second stream, but I will be doing a new episode of DSP Tries It, and the new statue will be up for sale. This coming Sunday, I'll probably be continuing Bloodborne again, and that'll be my main stream for Sunday. So you see what I'm doing this week? Bloodborne on Monday, not on Tuesday because we got the Indie Marathon. Bloodborne all day Wednesday, Bloodborne Thursday, Bloodborne Friday. Okay, Saturday we got to take it away from it, but Bloodborne Sunday. And I really think with all the content that I've heard that's in Bloodborne that we're going to be able to support that week. You know what I mean? It seems to me like with as long as the game is, that's going to be perfect, okay? Now, some of you might be saying, well, this sounds great to us because we wanted to see Bloodborne, but what about this little game that you bought a couple weeks ago that you haven't gotten to yet? And the answer that I have to you is don't worry. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD is going to be a major playthrough in the month of April. It's going to begin, from my estimation, the second week of April, because what I'm thinking is since I'm focusing on Bloodborne, I may be able to beat Bloodborne maybe by sometime next week, and whenever that finishes, I'm going to be starting up with Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, or if I beat my other side things that I'm working on, I may be playing them simultaneously until I finally finish Bloodborne, and then that'll be replaced by Mortal Kombat 10, which is coming out around the middle of April, okay? So the one elephant in the room then is, well, Phil, what about the playthrough that you mentioned earlier in this video, the one that people are voting on, the patrons? What's it going to be, and when is it going to be? What's it going to be? I can't answer. I'm hoping we get a final push of voters so that we can see exactly what it's going to be in the next 2 days, because we only have 2 days left to vote. When is it going to start? It's going to start a week from tomorrow. So not tomorrow, because it's still March anyway. It wouldn't make any sense. A week from tomorrow, so that's going to be Monday, April 6th. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my birthday, and I'm not even kidding you. I didn't even realize that was my birthday until I just looked at the calendar, and I'm like, okay, I had not even a calculation in my brain that was my birthday until I just looked. We're going to be starting that playthrough, okay? So if it's Persona, we'll be probably playing Persona 4 on PSN. If it's something else, we'll find another way to play it or whatever. And that's going to be continuing during the course of the month, okay? And probably once a week, typically on Monday, but we'll see when we can fit it in. Now, some people have expressed to me the concern because they said, well, if Persona wins and you play it, 4 sessions of Persona, the game's long as shit. There's no way you're going to beat it in 4 sessions, to which I say, okay, but that's not the point of the Patrons Choose It. Patrons choice is a chance for people to see a game that normally I wouldn't have tried. I've never tried a Persona game. I don't know anything about the Persona games. Literally, I have no knowledge whatsoever about the series. I don't know what to expect besides it's a JRPG. That's all I know. So for me, it's going to be like a first-time thing to experience it. And for those who are fans of Persona, are probably going to be like, wow, Phil's finally going to check this game out. Now, let's say I play it all month and people like the playthrough. Well, guess what? If you're a patron in the month of April, that's going to be one of the goals that I set, is that you can choose whether or not you want to continue to see Persona being played the next month, or do you want to see a new game be selected and become the Patron's Choice game? Because that's the whole point of Patron's Choice. It's viewer selection. If the patrons want to see Persona continue, it will. If they want to see something different because they're bored of it or they didn't like it, they could choose something else. And that's how it's going to work. So it really is in the hands of the patrons. And that's why I've been telling everyone, you don't understand how important this Patreon is. It really controls, outside of the mainstream games that I'm playing, what other content I'm going to be playing. Okay? And, I put other things up out there. I said, do people want to see me play Assassin's Creed Rogue? Do they want to see me play this? And no, right now it looks like Persona is going to be the winner unless there's a big flood of votes otherwise in the next 2 days. Okay? So, that's the rough schedule for everything. Let's go through it very quickly. Tonight, the weekend preview, and then immediately following that, my first initial thoughts on Bloodborne video. Well, I'll be explaining everything that I learned about the game this week and what I think about it. Tomorrow, Bloodborne on first stream, and the final PlayStation Home walkthrough on second stream. Tuesday, it's the Indies Mini Marathon, 7 to 8 hours of indie games based off of the Patreon voting. That's going to be all day. Wednesday, Bloodborne Marathon. Thursday, Bloodborne paired with Game of Thrones Episode 3. Friday, Bloodborne, no second stream because I'll be working on the best and worst of March montage. Saturday, we return to Minecraft with online multiplayer on my server on thekingofhate.com as long as the Patreon goal comes through, but it's looking pretty good right now. Sunday, more Bloodborne. Monday of next week is going to be whatever the patrons chose in that voting going on right now. Holy shit, that's a lot of stuff going on. And I just want you guys to understand, again, I am really doing my best to keep up with everything. You know what I mean? I want to start Final Fantasy type OHD as soon as possible. We will see this month. It may be the second week of April or later on in the second week of April, depending on how long it takes for Bloodborne and stuff like that. So understand, I'm doing my best. I hope that you guys are enjoying the content. It seems like most of the feedback I'm getting is the Minecraft's been great this past month. The people are saying that my attitude being a lot more focused on having fun with the games and being able to not be too worried about deadlines and stuff, and the fact that, so let's take a look at Bloodborne. I could have been rushing to beat it and beat it in 2 or 3 days like I used to do, or now I'm taking my time with it. I'm enjoying it a lot more. I'm exploring it off stream as well, and I think the playthrough ultimately is going to be a much better playthrough if I do all the content in the game, all the bosses and everything, and take my time with it rather than rush through it, which a lot of Let's Players apparently have been doing. So we'll see. I hope that you're enjoying it. Overwhelmingly, what I'm getting from feedback is people are enjoying the change and enjoying the content. Thank you. But please understand it goes hand in hand with the fact that I am playing less stuff on stream. I'm taking time out to work on new projects. And therefore, since I'm doing that, I need your support, and Patreon is the way to do that. So please check it out, patreon.com/DarksidePhil. And that's it for the weekend preview, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see ya for Bloodborne all week and the Indie Marathon and all the cool stuff coming up this week. I'm feeling great. A start to the spring, right? We're getting into the spring now. It's going to be excellent. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'll see you then. Peace out.